Freeholder Hudak. Freeholder Jallo.
Here.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Here.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Present.
Freeholder Wright.
Present.
Vice Chairman Granados. Chairman Bergen.
Here.
Chairman, at this point, you have 7 freeholders in attendance.
Thank you. Clerk of the board, please lead us in prayer and salute the flag.
Humbly we ask God, the giver of peace and the lover of charity, to give the entire family of nations true agreement with his will, and to grant the light of his spirit on all who work for justice and peace. Amen. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, please have the record reflect that Freeholder Hudak has joined us. And will you then please read the statement of compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act?
Duly noted. The chair wishes to announce that pursuant to the requirements of the New Jersey statutes annotated, Title 10, Chapter 4, Section 10 of the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting of the Board of Chosen Freeholders of the County of Union has been given by mailing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2016, along with periodic changes necessitated by circumstances, to the newspapers circulating within the County of Union who are designated to receive such notice, and by posting the annual meeting schedule for the year 2016 in the Administration Building, and further by filing the annual meeting schedule for the year 2016 with the Office of the County Clerk.
Thank you. May I please have,
There we go. May I please have a motion to approve communications?
So moved.
May I have a second? Motion made by Freeholder Kowalski, seconded by Freeholder Mirabella. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo.
I accept for December 17th, 2015, which I abstain.
I think these are for the communications.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was for the date. I approved that, the communications. Aye, yes.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
And Chairman Bergen.
Yes,
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative.
thank you. Now we'll move on to approval of minutes. May I have a motion to waive the reading and accept the minutes of December 3 agenda setting session, December 3 regular meeting, December 10 agenda setting session, and December 17, 2015 regular meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Freeholder Kowalski, seconded by Freeholder Estrada. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
I will abstain from the voting for the minutes on December 3rd, amended regular meeting. I to remain.
Freeholder Jallo.
I accept for December 17th, 2015, regular meeting, of which I abstain.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
Chairman Bergen.
Yes, as to all.
Chairman, you have 7 votes in the affirmative with 1 abstention for the meeting minutes of the December 3rd and agenda and regular meeting minutes. You have 8 votes in the affirmative for the December 10th agenda setting session minutes. And you have 7 votes in the affirmative with 1 abstention for the December 17th regular meeting minutes.
Thank you. We now move on to an ordinance for adoption. Would the clerk of the board please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 771-2016, an ordinance to amend the Union County District Solid Waste Management Plan to modify the Union County District Solid Waste Management Plan by modifying the facility lease agreement and waste disposal agreement between the Union County Utilities Authority, UCUA, and Covanta Union, LLC, Covanta, by extending the term of the facility lease agreement for a period of 22 years from December 15, 2031 to December 15, 2053, resulting in substantial savings to the UCUA through the elimination of the waste delivery obligation for 100,000 tons annually from governmental entities outside of the County of Union.
Thank you. This meeting is now open to the public for purposes of commenting on this ordinance 771-2016 only. Please state your name and town of residence for the record, and please adhere to the 5-minute time limit. Any members of the public wishing to speak on this ordinance?
You don't have to.
Oh, you know I have to. These big things that county does really needs to be tweaked. Good evening, Chairman Bergen, ladies and gentlemen. The Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, from Garwood, New Jersey. First, I'd like to thank the UCUA. I did send an OPRA in, like I was talking about last week, and they were expeditious in getting me a lot of the information, which then I read, so I thank them. Just reading through it and understanding, and I was here back in 2011 with the McEnroe hearings, and you know, things just weren't right back then, and it's coming to fruition. That 100,000-ton extra over what the towns owe that were going to come from out of county was suspect right in the beginning, and it proved itself out. Only that, you know, starting in 2013, it was supposed to be 100,000 tons, and somehow it failed immediately. So like not even 2 years later, we're here now talking about how can we get rid of the 100,000-ton obligation from out of county and replace it with a 22-year extension on the lease. Something's just not right. Only talking about duration, we're talking about 2053. And I'll tell you right now, nobody in this room will be around in 2053. Not even Jim Pelletier, who I remember when I was talking about it in 2011. You may be here in 2031, but 2053, nobody. So I don't know how you can actually extend or agree to extend a lease that's going to go out beyond all of our lifetimes. That just does not make sense. And I seriously think you should think about that, because things need to be tweaked here. I would assume you guys read it also. It was really tough to wade through because there's actually 2 leases involved here. One's a facility waste and one's the waste disposal lease. There's amendments, obviously, on them. You know, I waded through it. I took a look at it. But maybe Mr. Burry will talk further. But to tell you the truth, this retinkering of the lease was actually looked at back in 2011. And I did save 2 pages of the report. It was a February 24th, 2011 report, economic review report. And in there, they actually did address this 100,000-ton coming from out of county, and will it be a shortfall or not? And it actually said, well, there's a good possibility that it will be a shortfall, which came to fruition. And of the $4 million lease payments that Covanta was given to the UCUA, it actually said, and I'll read it, the extended local waste agreements is $2.5 million annually. That's the shortfall that they were forecasting, an amount more than sufficient to absorb the payment associated with the shortfall without taking into account the other significant benefits discussed above. So, I mean, at this point, we were looking at a shortfall, and we were looking at the potential cost of $2.5 million, and it was saying it was more than sufficient that the lease payments were going to cover this. In the economic analysis that I received by Oprah, it was saying this shortfall is actually $2 million to $2.1 million a year, which is even better than the $2.5 million that back in 2011 said could cover it. So, I mean, I don't see a reason why we have to extend this lease, much less go out to 2053. Another thing, there's items that weren't discussed that maybe you should put a hold on this until you get it clear. One is the maintenance costs on this plant going out that far. This is an incinerator, a major incineration with conveyor belts and all sorts of mechanical devices, high heat. And something tells me that this thing's going to fail. This plant's going to fail well before the 50 years. And that major failure is going to cost a lot of money plus the obsolescence, we were talking about that in 2011, the obsolescence of this incineration, you know, and maybe there's better plasma-type option that's going to come out. So out there's too many unknowns to really think about it. Another item from the lease of 2011 was electrical generation. The last 3 years leading up to
Mr.
2031.
Patterson, your 5 minutes is up. Thank you for your
Yeah,
comments.
but I got some serious concerns here that you
I-
really should be listening to.
thank
I mean,
you.
5 minutes should be waived on this, because how many other people are going to talk about it?
Mr. Patterson, please sit down.
I'm
Thank you.
going to really talk about this.
Mr.
'Cause
Patterson.
This is serious concerns that you got to
Excuse
look
me.
at.
The rules provide that if you do not sit down, you are disrupting the meeting, and you will be asked to leave the room. Please
I did
either
read the
sit.
rules on the door. You gave me a copy
Please-
of it. I
please-
do understand the 5 minutes.
Please either sit
but
down,
we're-
or I'm going to be forced to have you removed. I don't
Isn't
want to
that
do
amazing? You're going to force me
Mr.
to-
Patterson,
when there's
please.
2 people here to talk about it, you're actually going to throw one of them out.
Thank you, Mr.
And maybe throw the
Patterson.
other one
Please-
out.
Please sit down. Thank you.
I hope you at
Thank
least
you.
listen to my 5
Thank you.
minutes.
Thank you. I heard every word you said. Thank you.
Hearing and listening.
Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to comment on this ordinance only?
John Berry of Kenilworth. I thought I'd never get up here. Let's see, I just got all this material late this afternoon from the UCUA. It's nice to have it, but I couldn't really go through it. I just have 3 basic questions that would help me as I go through it, because it's completely confused me. Covanta's been paying, I guess from the old agreement in 2011, like $4 million to the UCUA, and because the UCUA couldn't come up with their 100,000 of tons, they got to pay back $2.5 million. Now this agreement just says, forget the 2.1, 2.5, something like that. This agreement seems to say, forget all that, even though I think they'll probably have to pay for 2013, 14, 15, but going forward, it's just going to be the $4 million for an extension of 22 years. It just seems like they're just giving away that. It just doesn't make any sense for me. So the question I have is, what are the real numbers? I mean, these are my interpretations. What, for 2013, 14, 15, let's just say, what has Covanta been paying to the UCUA? And what, it says in this economic analysis that's been 2.1, 2.5, apparently it's been an escrow. Is that really what's being paid from the UCUA to Covanta? Is that, because it just confused me as to why Covanta would go for the deal if this is all it. It looks like they're just giving away a couple $1 million. And the another question is on the municipalities. They also had a requirement. They had to come up with 330,000 tons between them, between all of them. Is Covanta, collecting that? Back in 11, it said they wouldn't, but is Covanta requiring them to put in the 3,000 and charging towns who don't come up with their allotment? And the other question is just general on the law. It's about how 2053 came out, how we got that date. Is that the latest possible date for one of these lease deals to work? Is that how it was chosen? Or can you go to infinity, or is there some other date? I mean, how did it arrive at 2053? Just confused on that. That's it.
Thank you. Any other members of the public who wish to comment on this ordinance 771-2016 only? Seeing none, then I'll formally close that portion of the meeting. Mr. Sullivan, if you could come forward and maybe address a couple of these points. First of all, the question was, who's responsible for maintenance during the term of the lease?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Excuse me. Covanta is responsible for all maintenance, all capital improvements. That is the current contract, and that will be in the extension that the same holds true. The UCUA nor the county has never paid for anything in terms of capital improvements, the normal maintenance, the shutdown of the boilers, which occurs on a periodic basis. Those costs are all assumed by Covanta. They will continue to be assumed by Covanta should this extension of the lease be approved.
Very good. Also, the question, the actual payment to Covanta for 2013, 14, and 15, do you have those figures?
Those are the numbers that in the document, the economic analysis of the lease extension. Those are the numbers, and they are between 2.1 and 2.5 because those are numbers that have been in dispute between ourselves and Covanta, the method of calculating of that. And that gets finalized when the agreement is finalized, and we will settle those things. But those monies are being held in escrow as it stands now. We have made a partial payment based on what we felt the shortfall was versus Covanta. So those numbers are in dispute, but the numbers that you see in the document are fairly accurate and are within the range of where we think the numbers will settle with. What was brought up was the payments by Covanta as a result of the lease in 2011. Those have been the $4 million payments that the UCUA receives. $2 million of those dollars goes to the Freeholder Board, the county, which has already been a total of $8 million that the county has received since 2011. The other, excuse me, the other $2 million is used to help subsidize the rates to the tune of $12 a ton. So that has brought about, savings in the millions of dollars for the towns that are contracted with us over the past 4 years. None of those provisions will change over the course of the initial contract, which runs to 2031. At that time, then the towns and everyone else, the county itself, is free to negotiate any deal that they want with Covanta, regardless of whether the trash could be sent elsewhere. There's no guarantees. The county is still held to the 330,000 tons, which they have been, the towns have been providing. Now, one town has been penalized if there have been any shortfall over, frankly, since the facility opened in 1995. There's never been a penalty applied to any town if they did not make a particular number. And we are consistently right near that number. As an example, in 2015, we were about 318,000 tons. That number has been steadily increasing over the past few years, given that things really became difficult about 2008, and that was just as a result of the recession of that time. So we are confident that the county, will fulfill their obligation of the 330,000 tons. It's not Covanta who chases after the towns or whatever. That's all negotiated and made right between the UCUA and Covanta as far as any shortfall payments. That, Covanta does not go after the towns or sends a bill to the towns. That does not happen.
And the final question, if you can answer it, the year 2053, was that mandated by law or was that just a negotiated?
Well, that was a negotiation, but I'm going to ask Kevin Conti, who's counsel on this deal, and he can comment on that if you don't mind.
Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Good evening. Good evening, Chairman and members of the board. My name is Kevin Conti. I'm from the firm of Dakotas, Fitzpatrick & Cole. We are solid waste counsel to the authority. I think the confusion with the term may stem from the fact that the original agreements and the modifications that took place in '98 and 2011 were all done pursuant to what is known as the McEnroe Act. The McEnroe Act places a 40-year limit on the term that we can contract with an entity, a private entity, to provide resource recovery services. In return, they will accept garbage from Union County, and however, this extension starts from the end of that 40-year period and extends out 22 years. That term does not have corresponding services. Those services will be provided only by Covanta in the event it wins a bid, so that this, in effect, is just a lease by a utilities authority that has the authority to do just that, at least its property. So there is no real magic to the 22 years. It was a term that Covanta, I suppose, needed in order to make the economics work for them. But the element of confusion, I think, stems from that McEnroe 40-year period, which really ends at 31 and then this is just a simple lease transaction after that.
Very good, thank you. I think
Thank you.
we've responded to all the questions from the public. Now, I would ask Freeholder Hudak if you would please move ordinance 771-2016.
Thank you, Chairman. I move ordinance number 771-2016 for final reading and authorize clerk of the board to advertise same in accordance with the law.
Thank you. May I please have a second?
Second.
Motion was made by Freeholder Hudak, seconded by Freeholder Mirabella. Clerk of the board, would you please call the roll?
Freeholder Carter.
No.
Freeholder Estrada.
No on 771-2016.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
And Chairman Bergen.
Yes.
Chairman, you have 6 votes in the affirmative with 2 noes, 2 votes in the negative.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. Next, we have an ordinance for introduction. Would the clerk of the board please read the ordinance by title?
Ordinance number 772-2016, an ordinance to amend the laws of Union County Administrative Code and policies and general legislation by amending Part 1, Chapter 1, Article 14, Departments, Divisions, Bureaus, Article 16, Department of Human Services, Article 17, Administrative Services, Article 18, Department of Parks and Recreation, Chapter 44, Department Head Qualifications, Chapter 138, Vehicles and Traffic, deleting Chapter 64, Healthcare Services, and adding Chapter 140, Contracted Off-Duty Employment of Law Enforcement Officers, and adopting the 2016 Department of Parks and Recreation fees for recreational facilities.
Thank you. Freeholder Carter, would you please move ordinance 772-2016?
Thank you, Chairman. I move ordinance number 772-2016 for first reading and authorize the clerk of the board to advertise same in accordance with the law. The final reading and public hearing are scheduled for March 10, 2016.
Second the motion.
Motion was made by Freeholder Carter, seconded by Freeholder Kowalski. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter.
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada.
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak.
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo.
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski.
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella.
Aye.
Freeholder Wright.
Yes.
And Chairman Bergen.
Yes.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. And as noted, the final reading and public hearing on that will be scheduled for our next regular meeting, which is March 10th, 2016. The meeting is now open to the public for purposes of commenting on resolutions that are being offered for adoption tonight only. Once again, please state your name, town of residence, and please state which resolution you are referring to, and please adhere to the 5-minute time limitation.
Yeah, John Berry, Kenilworth. Only on this 165, page 3 of 7, approving corrective action plan. It was explained it's for, I guess, 3 deficiencies somewhere. Specifically, what are the deficiencies, and what's the plan to correct them? That's it.
Thank you. Director Taylor?
Through you, Chairman. The 3 deficiencies in summary essentially require additional monitoring of subgrantees to ensure that the in-kind match is met for each of the federal grants, that federal financial progress reports are available at time of audit, and that the expenditure of funds coincides with the grant year. The corrective action plan, as developed in consultation with each of the departments, essentially require and creates a log for each of the departments to go out and then have some paperwork to identify the match. while they are out there conducting their site visits. The progress reports, the Division of Reimbursements is working with each of the departments essentially to make sure that at time that those progress reports are submitted to the federal and state government, that they are simultaneously submitted to the Department of Division of Reimbursement, and that the coinciding of federal reimbursements and the expenditure coincide with the grant year. Essentially just making sure that we are more mindful and working with the departments that were affected, which were the Prosecutor's Office and Public Safety, so that when they do submit their reports, that they coincide again with, and they match with our financial system.
Thank you. And just to reiterate from what you said during the agenda session, these changes have already been made, correct?
That is correct.
This is just the board
Ratifying the
essentially
corrective
ratifying the action.
That is correct.
Thank you. Are there any other members of the public who wish to address any resolutions that are pending for adoption tonight?
Good evening, Chairman Bergen, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board. Bruce Patterson, Garwood, New Jersey. On page 3, the same one, number 165, about the corrective action plan and monitoring if there's in-kind matching grants, monies to the grants. I'm just wondering, is there going to be any retroactivity about it, going back a year or 2 years? And if so, I mean, are we going to at least get the entities with the grants to actually come up with the money to match it, or they would be penalized? Page 4, number 175. This is $118,000 going to United Way, and I forgot who the director was that came up with it, explained what it was about. But is this the one last year? It was like $168,000 being given to United Way, and now we're looking at a number of $118,000, so it's down like $50,000. I'm just wondering what happened. I mean, why are we not giving them $50,000? And I did point out that possibly we shouldn't even be, that the county should not be getting into donations towards charitable funds like the United Way. Something doesn't sound right there. Number 176, right below it, it's amending a resolution to Alexander W. Booth Esquire, and I think I asked this question last year. I'm going to ask it again. Is this Counsel Barry's old law firm? He's the one recommending Booth. I don't know if that's a conflict of interest on that one. Number 5, number 185 at the very bottom. This is investing immediately in Union County water infrastructure. The goals of the Sustainable Water Infrastructure Investment Act of 2016 could. It's a federal. It sounds like it's something federal. Could somebody just give me an oversight of what that is? There was lead in water in some towns. Just back to number 3. I just want to touch. This is, I guess, the last one. Number 164 in the middle of the page. It's awarding a contract to Pinot Consulting Group in West Windsor, New Jersey, and their work is going to be consulting services for preparation of an indirect cost plan. Consulting services for preparation. This is a wow number, $164,000. This is for January 1st. This is for 2 years, but still, that's a large number for consulting services just for preparation of a direct plan. Somebody's going to be sitting next to somebody actually doing the work, and they're going to get paid $164,000 in 2 years. Somebody please explain what that's about. And that's about it. It's a short agenda, which I appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson. Director Taylor. 164, can you just explain what in fact that work will be?
For Pinot, absolutely, sir. First, let me just point out through you that at year-end 2015, through the Pinot Group's efforts in consultation with the Department of Finance, we were able to recoup approximately $2.8 million in reimbursements to help offset our administrative and indirect costs that the county has to incur. So that service essentially recoups, while it is a $164,000 cost every year, we've recouped on average of over $2.5 million, and as I mentioned, 2.8 last year. That is to maximize all eligible reimbursements under our federal programs, and we have to have a plan on file in order to actually apply for those reimbursements on an annual basis.
Thank you. Then on 165, if I understood, there were really two questions. One, whether it's retroactive, and the other part of the question had to do with money from the agencies, which I don't think is correct, but if you could address those.
Sure. It is not an issue of whether or not the in-kind match was met, but the documentation of the in-kind match. And so the system that has been established with the Departments of Human Services and Economic Development requires that we've updated our procurement process and require now subgrantees to submit audited financial statements at the time that their proposals are submitted. On a monthly basis, the departments go out and they monitor, and then they also document on the new forms the actual match that's required. So the issue is not that the match was not met, it is the actual documentation that the auditors require for submission. And so that is something that we are going to be able to aggressively work with the departments to make sure that that we're in compliance.
Very good. Thank you, Director. 175 concerning United Way. Director Wagner, I would, if you could just address the issue of what the cost was last year, and I'll address the statement that this is a donation. It's not a donation. This is payment for services rendered on behalf of the county by the United Way, so it's not in any way a donation. But if you could just address what the cost was last year and why it's different.
Right. The budget for this program is $158,000. $40,000 was approved at the reorg meeting. This is just the remainder of the funding from March 1st through December 31st.
So the price is the same this year as last?
Yes.
Thank you. Number 176, County Council, if you can just address that.
Certainly. The firm I was associated with about 12 years ago no longer exists, and Mr. Booth has been a private practitioner, solo private practitioner for, I believe, about 4 years now.
Thank you. Concerning Resolution 185, Freeholder Hudak, maybe you could address that?
Thank you, Chairman. Just in regard to 185, we had some conversations. Generally speaking, the county Freeholder Board has supported and been supportive of infrastructure improvements in the state of New Jersey and Union County. This particular piece of legislation will improve water distribution in our state and our country. And I think, and I know we as a board think that's a very important and relevant, considering what we are seeing now in terms of the degradation of the water infrastructure in Flint, Michigan, as well as in other portions of the country where things we take for granted, such as the supply of clean water, have fallen by the wayside as the federal government has, quite frankly, been negligent in providing funds for infrastructure improvement. So it's an important issue, and we, in advance, thank the board for its support. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder Hudak, and thank you for bringing this important issue to our attention. Are there any other members of the public who wish to speak on pending resolutions only? Seeing none, I'll close that portion of the meeting and request a motion to adopt resolutions 2016-158 through 2016-186.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Motion made by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Kowalski. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter?
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak?
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo?
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
And Chairman Bergen?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. The meeting is now open to the public for purpose of commenting on any governmental issue that a member of the public feels may be of concern to the residents of the county. As always, please state your name and town of residence for the record, and please adhere to the 5-minute time limit. Are there any members of the public wishing to speak at this time?
John Berry of Kenilworth. Oh, let me see. Just getting back to this Covanta thing. It may have been the way I posed the question, but one thing wasn't really answered. I know that the towns weren't on the hook for the extra 330. No town was assessed anymore. But I think I posed the question as, did Covanta press their contract rights, even if the UCUA paid it? And I still don't know that. I'd like to find it out here, but if not, I'll try some other way. And also with this Covanta, it just pretty much stunned me, actually, that 2 freeholders voted no. Actually, maybe 2053 before that happens again. So, I mean, you don't have to, but because I haven't looked through this stuff, I mean, there's a lot of things, and on the face of it, it looks like a fantastic deal. You know, still paying the $4 million, now we don't have to pay this $2 million, whatever. And I'll find it, I'll look through it, but it would help a lot if either Freeholder Carter or Freeholder Estrada explained, you know, what part of this they don't approve of. I mean, they don't have to, but, you know, it's just such an unusual event that I thought might be worth it. That's it.
Thank you for your comments, Mr. Burry. Any other member of the public who wishes to speak to the board on any governmental issue at this time?
Good evening, Chairman Bergen, ladies and gentlemen of the Freeholder Board, Bruce Patterson, Garwood, New Jersey. I'm going to talk some more on Covanta also, but first I want to talk about, I believe it was Freeholder Estrada that is head of the New Jersey Transportation Agency or plan, or whatever it is. But I don't know if this actually has to do with Freeholder Estrada. But yes, there is a transportation master plan ongoing in the county. And I talked about this in front of the Garwood Council, that hopefully they're going to reach out to whatever entity is overseeing this. And Bill Neerstead actually did attend a meeting, and Bill Neerstead is a person from Garwood. But what I expressed my concern is North Avenue and South Avenue corridors. There's been a lot of building going on. Garwood's actually facing a possibly 300 units going on South Avenue, right in the downtown portion of Garwood. Westfield is having another 70 units being built over on Central Avenue and South Avenue. And Famwood, of course, is building up like crazy over there in their downtown. North Avenue, from what I understand, is approximately 75% of the time is over its capacity. So we're looking at major issues for these 2 corridors. And so I'm reaching out that something seriously needs to be addressed on these 2 roads. I mean, the building is going crazy. Cranford, we already saw what's going on in Cranford. I don't know if they can fit any more in Cranford, but excuse me, something needs to be addressed. I mean, the freeholders are the county. One of the roads is a state road, one is a county road. I seriously think you better get involved and seriously give it some thought as to what these 2 corridors are going to happen. I said possibly a moratorium on building, and all the towns like Roselle Park, Cranford, Garwood, Westfield, Famwood, even Scotch Plains, I guess, touches North Avenue and South Avenue. But these towns, something has to be done here. Get all these town governing body and the county together, and the master plan of the transportation of the county, and seriously look at these 2 roads. Maybe other roads are crowded, but we're talking about, and I'll tell you, I was unemployed one year. 2:30, I knew I had to be back at my house because the roads were just going to be crowded with cars. And that's what happens from 2:30 all the way to 6 o'clock, rush hour, back jump bumper to bumper. It's horrible. So that's my concern, and hopefully you take it with some seriously thought. The UCUA, I mean, I did ask questions. I was shut down 5 minutes. I do understand the policy. However, this was a serious issue. Obviously, it was because 2 freeholders voted no, which I appreciate. I don't know if they're going to explain it in the wrap-up comments. Actually, one good thing, Freeholder Angel Estrada, he's more or less the only one that really does vote no on various resolutions, and this was an ordinance over the past many years, which is, I appreciate that, to at least you expressing your voice. The UCUA, yes, the maintenance, the standard maintenance, but there's going to be catastrophic problems, and I don't think anything was even addressed on that in all these amendments that came out. There could very well be a major failure. I also mentioned electrical generation. The last 3 years, some of the electrical generation will be put towards the bond and towards the towns, which is good, but moving out towards 2053, nothing was really addressed there. And it's interesting that Dakotas Fitzpatrick came up here, and he explained that this is just a lease. And to tell you the truth, I'm sure he left already. It is only a lease. I don't understand what that meant. I mean, because you read through all these amendments, and Covan is mentioned in there very heavily. So it's not just a lease, but it is a lease with Covanta. And there was dollar amounts and everything going out that far. So I have no idea what he was trying to dismiss, but it made no sense what he said.
Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
I'm over my 5 minutes again.
I gave you extra because I didn't see the light, but thank you for your
And I never
comments.
watched the light, by the way. You're my light, obviously. Thank you very much.
Any other members of the public who wish to speak on any governmental issue? I did want to note, Mr. Patterson, concerning the Transportation Master Plan, that is in fact a county document. There have been 2 public hearings on that already, more than public hearings, but opportunities for the public to come in and interact and give their opinions. But thank you for your comments on that. I am sure that the North and South Avenue corridors are a major portion of that plan. Any other members of the public? Seeing none, I will bring that portion to a close, and we will now move into freeholder reports and comments. Freeholder Wright.
Thank you. On behalf of the Freeholder Board, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge with sincere appreciation and gratitude the talented people who came together to participate in the wonderful celebration of Black History Month yesterday afternoon at Union County College. The invocation provided by the Reverend Marion J. Franklin from the First Baptist Church of Vauxhall set the tone for a very reflective and inspirational event. It was an honor to lead the Pledge of Allegiance and to hear the magnificent voice of Kayla Marie Miller People of Union High School as she sang the national anthem. And that beautiful performance was followed by the incredible voices of a group of students from Union County College singing Lift Every Voice, led by Zolima Cheek. The creative talent of students from the Buford School of Music, who presented a brief history of music and dance from Africa to the New World, was simply spellbinding. All of these individuals and more together made yesterday's event a true celebration of our present achievements, as well as a remembrance of the rich history of our past.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Jallo.
No report, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder Hudak.
Thank you, Chairman. I want to say about 2 years ago, Freeholder Estrada, who's our representative on the New Jersey Transportation Planning Authority, brought to our attention that the Tremley Point Connector Road off of the New Jersey Turnpike had been defunded by the Christie administration, and very important that he's in that position to keep us up to date of what's going on and how it's going to affect Union County as well as other projects. I bring that up because on On Wednesday, Freeholder Chairman Bergen, Kowalski, and myself attended a press conference with State Senate President Steve Sweeney and Nick Scutari, who's the senator from the Legislative District 22, as well as members of our Assembly delegation, the Linden mayor, the mayor of the City of Linden, and council members from the City of Linden, to draw attention to that particular project and call attention on the governor to, one, reinstate funding for that project, which is a very important project to the region. It will help grow the Port of Elizabeth by developing, literally billions of dollars of undeveloped brownfields in the City of Linden, improve the conditions for those individuals living in the Tremley Point area of Linden by taking a large number of trucks and heavy vehicles off the road, but also to address a larger problem in the state of New Jersey, that we are not funding our roads properly, and the state of New Jersey is not serious about transportation infrastructure needs. The governor of the state, Governor Christie, he's back. He's no longer running for president. Didn't work out for him in New Hampshire, and he did his budget address earlier this week, and at one point he said that that there seems to be a misconception that there's a problem with transportation funding in New Jersey. Freeholder Estrada will tell you as a leader of the authority which is funding transportation in New Jersey, that the cupboard is bare, and projects that are very important to Union County and the state are going by the wayside. This project that we were drawing attention to included in that. So I want to thank Freeholder Estrada for his efforts there, but also I do want to point out that this is a very important project, and there's going to be a very important debate in New Jersey over the next few months over transportation funding. I'd like to think that our governor will work with our legislative district delegation and the leaders of the Senate and Assembly to get something done to make sure that bridges don't start to collapse and roads don't start to fall apart. That would involve the governor doing the right thing. So hopefully he's not running for president anymore. He's less concerned about the voters of Iowa and South Carolina and New Hampshire, and he's willing to step up for the voters of New Jersey. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Mirabella?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to let everyone know that our county surrogate, James LaCourte, will be visiting several Elizabeth neighborhoods in the next couple of months, March and April, to provide information about wills and estate planning. These informal talks enable our residents to ask the questions and get reliable guidance from an expert on this very important topic. This is the latest in a series of public events that Mr. LaCourte has presented all across Union County. And on behalf of the Freeholder Board, I would like to thank him for his service to our community. The first event is scheduled for 2:30 at Farley Towers on Thursday, March 3rd. You can get more information on the website at the Surrogates page, or call the Surrogates office at 908-527-4280. And with that, I'll conclude my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Estrada?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Let me first address the issue of transportation, which is more complex than just roads. Also, New Jersey Transit has some serious issues that they need to address. And unfortunately, it's all a money issue. Right now, there's a potential of a pending strike, and unfortunately, there has not been any kind of remedy to that potential taking place, which will even make things worse. One of the reasons why NJTPA has been funding the one-seat ride to New York on the Raritan Valley line is because basically the New Jersey Transit just cannot afford to do that. And for the last, this is going to be the third year we have been funding the costs or the overcost to New Jersey Transit to operate the one-seat ride to New York on the Raritan Valley line. When we talk about the Tremley Point, this was a bi-county, Union and Middlesex project that would not only reduce the truck traffic going to Elizabeth and Linden, but at the same time, the same thing going toward the south in Middlesex. And this is one of those projects that overnight was defunded, no explanation given. We met with the director we made with all the people, and no one could tell us where that money was reallocated with. It just disappeared. Hopefully, maybe new things will be taking place. Hopefully, under new leadership in the state of New Jersey, we'll have some individuals who are really concerned and want to make a change and address the issues that are so pressing for our communities. In terms of traffic in the South Avenue and North Avenue, everyone knows that the minute development starts and buildings go up, traffic will definitely follow. That's known throughout in planning and everything else, and our economic development committee, or department, as well as Public Works, have been tracking all these things that are taking place, and it's one of the reasons why the transportation study, is being followed. We had our last transportation plan 10 years ago, and this is the ideal time to do it. If you take any of those two roads, you know very clearly that you're going to wait, and especially at peak times. As you know, municipalities are always scrambling to make sure that they maximize on revenues in terms of taxing, and this is one way of doing it. I tell you, I travel in either north or south avenues constantly. I know the growth that we have seen, which is something we should be very proud of, but at the same time, we have to deal with the realities that are taking place. I know that communities want to do better, and they're doing a great job at it, and my congratulations to it, but we do need to do the follow-up to ensure that, and we have done already things in terms of traffic calming. We have done studies in terms of the lights. So it's not a matter that it went unnoticed. I see our county engineer here who's consistently looking at those issues and making sure that we find solutions to the problems, but at the same time, we know that that we all need to work together to make it happen. And I know they do get together with the people in their at the municipal level to address issues such as this. On the issues of the ordinance tonight and the 22-year lease until 2053, I understand the terminology of a lease as an arrangement between two individuals or group of individuals, whereby, as far as I'm concerned, the lease is binding to two different individuals. Honestly, I truly believe that when we went into the 2031, which I supported, I felt it was a good response to a problem that we were facing. This response does not necessarily meet my needs. I'm not 100% sure this is the way to go. Unfortunately, we have not heard any results that I would consider acceptable in that terms, because of the fact is that garbage is a very volatile type of commodity, and time will tell. I don't know. I know it's a very difficult situation. I know that the Utilities Authority finds itself in a very precarious way, and all they're trying to do is to cut the gap that we're finding now. But I want to know, how can I maximize on revenues for the next X number of years and not necessarily accept this particular scenario? Again, it's my opinion, and often, as was noted earlier, yes, I vote how I feel, how I see it. That's just the way it is, and I respect my colleagues who supported the resolution. That's fine. This is the world that we live in. We have the right to disagree, and I love my colleagues like it was my brothers and sisters, and I've always have. And we can converse about the issues, but hey, listen, when the day's done, the vote has to be taken, and I stand by my opinion. In terms of the NJTPA, and I made some comments earlier, I can assure you that, unfortunately, New Jersey, the transportation infrastructure programs does not have any kind of capital to be funded. I think they're in terms of bridge replacements or bridge rework, they have possibly another 1 year more to fund, and it's also a reduction of those funds. So unless we do something about the gas tax, the millionaire's tax, or some tax somewhere on the road, we're going to have some serious, serious problems with our infrastructure. And this is something that it cannot be totally handled on the local level. This has to be the states stepping in with, of course, federal assistance to make it happen. And this problem is not only happening when it comes to the actual state of New Jersey, but also some of it happened in the Congress of the United States, whereby they're relinquishing their responsibility to ensure that safety is premier throughout this country. And with that, I end my comments, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Carter.
Thank you, Chairman. In reference to my voting no on the ordinance, I feel the ordinance had very strong points. There was just some additional information that I had received that I had not fully vetted out. So at this point, I did vote no on that. But I think that my colleagues here on the board, as we all do, we don't agree on everything, and there may be some discussions that we have before we go to vote, but we do vote accordingly to how we feel is the best interest. It's not that I feel that this ordinance is a bad ordinance or an ordinance that should not be done. It's just additional information that I did not evaluate fully and vetted it out for this evening because of when I received it. But it's all good, and I appreciate my colleagues for making sure to support the right things for this county. Looking back to yesterday, I had the honor of hosting our 4th annual Black History Month event at Union County College in Cranford. This event was co-sponsored through Union County College, and a program, as Freeholder Wright spoke about earlier, was truly an event that the county truly can be proud of, and we exemplified much of the Black history that is going on throughout not just our country, but especially here in Union County. We had some exceptional students that got up and spoke that truly, truly exemplify things that are going on right there at Union County College that is here, right in our own county, and we're very proud of them. But one of the things that, besides the highlights of the program, we were able to, again, award a recipient for this year's Chester Holmes Humanitarian Award. Assemblyman Jerry Green was the recipient this year, who, for his years of service, not just to the county, but to the state, he has done as an African-American male, growing up, and his years of legislating to make sure that not just African Americans are accounted for in what goes on in this county, but all Americans. So we're proud to award him, again, the Chester Holmes Humanitarian Award. One of the things that we can truly say about Union County College is Union County College President Dr. Margaret Meneman truly is a visionary when it comes to that school. Not only does she celebrate Black history, but she celebrates American history throughout the year, throughout Union County College. And I applaud her for that. We were able to partner with her this year, and I hope to see more partnering with her to celebrate what goes on, and especially to celebrate Black History Month. Thank you.
Thank you, Freeholder. Freeholder Kowalski.
Thank you, Chairman. I'd also like to add my thanks to everyone who participated in the program for Black History Month yesterday. Of course, especially thanks to our colleague, Freeholder Carter, for chairing, and congratulations to Assemblyman Green for his fine contributions to our communities all around Union County and to the state. I also would like to congratulate the Cranford High School football team on their perfect season and thank them and their parents and coaches for coming in tonight for a resolution. I know we're all very proud of them, and they had a perfect season, and they are they're all fine young men and are going to have a wonderful future, and we're very pleased to be able to recognize them tonight. Last week, Chairman Bergen mentioned our upcoming Union County Means Green seminar, and I just want to let you know that registration for that is open. It is a free breakfast networking opportunity designed to connect our local business owners and managers with new green strategies for attracting customers and increasing the bottom line. So municipal agencies, nonprofits, and civic groups are also invited, and it is going to be on Monday, March 7th. That's March 7th from 8 in the morning to 12 noon at Kane University's STEM building on Morris Avenue in Union Township. Registration is required, and you can visit our website, ucnj.org, to get more information and register. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Freeholder. County Council, any comments?
No comments, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
County Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you, I would like to release the 2016 executive budget for your review and in conjunction with the requirements of New Jersey state statutes. Just as a reminder, this is not the final budget, but a starting point that can be reviewed and amended as necessary by the Fiscal Committee and the Freeholder Board before final adoption sometime later this spring. The Fiscal Committee has already scheduled hearings on the executive budget for March 7th at Galloping Hill Golf Course and March 8th at the Union County Votech School in Scotch Plains at 5:30 p.m. The third hearing will take place on Thursday, March 17th at 5 p.m. here in the Elizabeth Administration Building. While tempered by some additional costs, this year's executive budget demonstrates Union County's continued economic growth and the success of our sound management and budgeting practices, as validated by Moody's recent determination of a AA1 bond rating. Another significant measure of Union County's economic growth is the increase in our rateable base by 2.5%, or $1.6 billion in equalized value over 2015. This is the largest increase since 2007 and our second consecutive annual increase. On a related note, the strong real estate market has resulted in an increase of more than $1 million in realty transfer fees realized through the county clerk's office. Total revenues have also continued to increase. Our Union County Emergency Medical Service, a key shared service offered by the county, brought in more than $1 million this past year, which is a 46.8% increase over 2014. The Union County Regional Dispatch, which provides services to 17 agencies throughout the county, realized over $386,000 in revenue this year. Our Parks Department also enjoyed another profitable year, with revenues totaling more than $6.4 million, an increase of almost $183,000 over the previous year. A substantial part of that is due to our division of golf, which this year will host the annual New Jersey State Golf Association Open Championship at our Galloping Hill Golf Course. This will be the first use of a public golf course in the 96-year history of the NJSGA Open. As our county financial position has improved over the past few years, we've continued to build surplus. Over the past year alone, we boosted our surplus by 77%, from $31 million to $55 million. This increase is vital in maintaining our bond rating, which is among the highest obtainable. Citing this most recent determination, Moody's cited our improved financial position among other strengths. They also cited our manageable debt levels. Our overall debt service remained flat this year as we've taken advantage of lower interest rates. Net debt expressed as a percentage of the equalized valuation basis is 0.885%, substantially less than the maximum of 2% authorized by the state. These achievements are significant because they have occurred during a long period of fiscal turbulence in the state of New Jersey, which has experienced a record 9 credit downgrades since 2009. Overall, this year's executive budget is approximately $508 million. The budget, which meets the state cap, would increase property taxes by an average of 3.2% over last year. Among the highest revenue offsets to our budget this year is the implementation of the Speedy Trial and State Bill Reform Law, which is going into effect in New Jersey in January 2017. This unfunded mandate will require an extraordinary amount of resources, including the hire of additional sheriff's officers, prosecutors, staff, and public works employees, along with associated operating and capital costs. The county's anticipated startup cost for this program will be $1 million. That cost will increase next year to approximately $1.8 million, adding to the existing programs and services that we provide as required by state law, but for which we receive no offsetting state funds. Also, the new family court building on Cherry Street, anticipated to open by the end of the year, will also require additional county staff, totaling as much as $400,000 annually moving forward. In addition to these mandatory programs, Union County has diligently pursued opportunities to invest in community health and the economic well-being of our citizens. In particular, substantial investments in our parks and educational institutions have made Union County's quality of life one of the most highly regarded in the nation. Some highlights include expansion and renovation of our Watchung stables, construction of the new Warnaco Park Ice Skating Center, reconstruction of historic Bryant Park and Summit, Matano Park renovations, and the expansions of Union County College campuses in Cranford and Plainfield, and at the award-winning Union County Votech campus in Scotch Plains. We have also continued to budget an additional $1.5 million for the very popular continuation of the Municipal Infrastructure Grant Program, funded through revenues from the sale of Runnels Hospital in 2014. We have doubled the amount of funding for the popular library grants program from $75,000 to $150,000. This budget also funds the operations of the United Way Family Success Center at $158,000 and the We Are One New Jersey Advocacy and Naturalization Center for Immigrants at $245,000. Many of these investments above were noted by Freeholder Bergen in his reorganization speech as he announced his One County, One Community initiatives for 2016. With all these exciting plans in place, I look forward to working again with the entire Freeholder Board and our county departments in achieving another successful year in 2016. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. County Manager. Very good. As you've heard from a number of my colleagues, yesterday was a pretty busy day here in Union County. A number of us started the day by speaking and meeting with many members of the business community at the ELC breakfast at the Holiday Inn in Clark. We had a productive exchange about various issues, including the one-seat ride, taxes, flooding, and other matters. Later in the morning, as Freeholder Hudak mentioned, we joined with State Senators Sweeney and Scutari in an event highlighting the need to fund an important regional infrastructure project in Linden through the Transportation Trust Fund. I want to thank Freeholder Hudak for his participation in that, as well as thanking Freeholder Estrada for his leadership in transportation for so many years. We then ended the afternoon, as it was mentioned, with an incredible showing of unity at the county's 4th annual Black History Month event at Union County College. I want to thank Freeholder Carter for being the MC and doing just a wonderful job with that. And I do want to also comment that the young lady who sang the Star Spangled Banner, I just found her performance to be quite thrilling. And I also want to add my congratulations to Assemblyman Green, who's been my friend for more than 30 years, on his well-deserved honor of the Chester Holmes Award. One of the things that was announced during the ELC event was a new program that the county is offering through the Union County Economic Development Corporation, which is a 3% working capital loan to small businesses. The program offers up to $25,000 at 3% over a maximum of 5 years to qualified businesses. As I mentioned during reorganization, we will continue to partner with the UCEDC and Workforce Development to announce various incentive programs for our businesses and our residents. If you need more information about this program, we do have a flyer that's available, or you can call 908-527-1166 or visit the UCEDC website for details at ucedc.com. I also want to mention that our Workforce Business Innovation Center is offering another round of jobs for county residents. This time it's 100 new full-time work-at-home jobs in customer service and tech support, which will be made available to our residents through the Innovation Center. We are aware that many residents face different living situations, and with this in mind, we're proud to present job opportunities for residents and their families to help them meet some of their challenges even while staying at home. Information sessions for the new jobs will be held at the Union County Workforce Innovation Business Center, at the Mills at Jersey Garden, on Kapkowski Road in Elizabeth, and that will be on Tuesday, March 1st. It's open to anyone, but you do need to pre-register either online at ucnj.org, or you can call the WIB Center at 908-355-4444. And once again, I would note that veterans are going to be given a hiring preference in support of my UC Hero initiative announced earlier this year. That brings my comments to a close. We do have a need to go into executive session this evening. County Council, will you please make your statement relative to tonight's executive session?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Act, public body may enter into executive session for the purpose of discussing certain enumerated subjects. This board now wishes to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing attorney-client privilege communication and discussions relative to potential contract negotiations for a food truck music carnival 2016. The minutes of the executive session shall be separated from the minutes of the open public session. The minutes of the executive session, redacted as appropriate and necessary, shall be available in approximately 30 days. Clerk to the board shall retain the original minutes until such times the confidential limitations have been removed, at which time they shall be made available. Upon the affirmative vote of a majority of the members present, the board may retire to executive session. Upon the board's return, it will not take any formal action on the matters discussed.
Thank you, County Council. May I please have a motion to enter into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Freeholder Mirabella, seconded by Freeholder Carter, I think. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter?
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak?
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo?
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Bergen?
Aye.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. We're now in executive session. Call this meeting back to order. May I please have a motion to return to regular
So
session?
moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made by Freeholder Mirabella, second by Freeholder Carter. Clerk of the board, please call the roll.
Freeholder Carter?
Yes.
Freeholder Estrada?
Yes.
Freeholder Hudak?
Aye.
Freeholder Jallo?
Aye.
Freeholder Kowalski?
Yes.
Freeholder Mirabella?
Aye.
Freeholder Wright?
Yes.
Chairman Bergen?
Yes.
Chairman, you have 8 votes in the affirmative.
Thank you. County Council, do you have anything to announce as a result of the executive session?
Nothing to report, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adjourn
So moved.
and a second?
Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
We're
Killing me with that.
I don't know, I heard that double twice today. That's an